Should read topic number 3 says, who's bigger, Michael Jackson or Bob Marley? This is an interesting one. Let's see if there's going to be any micro nationalism going on during this prompt. Yeah, who's bigger, Michael or Bob Marley? Let's watch the attachment that came with it, and then we will discuss it.
Super. However, patriotic can lead to blindness sometimes because you think Bob Marley is bigger than Michael Jackson.
What I mean, if me think,
you think?
Show me a shirt right now and say he. Show me a shirt right now and say he. That's all right. When you find it, come tell me.
Show me someone that's had plastic surgery to look like Bob Marley.
Bob Marley, the poor people, we can't afford that. So get that out of here. And more poor people in the world than rich people. Yeah. Bob Marley met Berlin Wall drop. And One Love did a play when that. Rolling Stone give One Love album of the century. So what more you want to tell me about?
Michael Jackson, bro.
Michael Jackson had a nose, virgin.
You could go to places in Asia.
Numbers wise. We're talking about influence.
Influence?
Bro, when we're talking about influence, we're talking about white man that put on dreadlocks. You see the man, well, Michael Jackson probably influenced.
It's got white socks on as well with the shoes.
Real music.
Yeah. So, bro, this man died 1981.
And that's what I said.
That.
We can't judge Michael Jackson's legacy until the same period has passed for his death, for us to know whether he's still got an influence.
Damn, Mike wouldn't unmute. I don't know what the hell's going on. Side note, that show, some of the funniest clips on social media comes from that same show there, man. That show is hilarious. They're all funny. The brother with the dreads who cut him now named what's his name? Dale Elliott. Funny guy too, man. So if you've heard of Major Hype and stuff like that, and you like Major Hype, check out them fellas there. Kofi, who's bigger, Michael Jackson or Bob Marley? What say you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I stepped away. You're gonna have to either repeat the question or I gotta see what you did. What's the question again? Who's bigger than Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson or Bob Marley?
Oh, that'll be Michael Jackson. Because I remember that, and it's kind of an unfair versus because Michael Jackson has a larger body of work. He was like 9, and so when he died, when he was like an old man, versus Bob Marley, who died in his prime. So it depends what we're talking about. To me, this is an unfair comparison because no matter where Michael Jackson could go anywhere in the world, and people will recognize him. I'll say the same for Bob, but maybe not as much. Why? Because Michael Jackson lived longer and he has a larger body of work. So I can't give a real answer on that one. Sorry.
I appreciate that. My computer's acting. I appreciate, let me stop sharing that screen. I appreciate that, Kofi. At the start of the show, when I gave the preview as to what we would be discussing, I mentioned that there's a couple of ways you could go about this. People in the chat are talking about it. You could go by the numbers, and the numbers are it's a blowout, right? Michael Jackson will take that as far as numbers go. You talk about entertaining stage stage shows. Mike might take that one too. And in fact, not Mike probably takes that one. But if we're talking about political / cultural / black empowerment, I would have to go Marley on that one. By a bunch. Let me hear what Buana has to say about it. Buana, what say you?
No, of course, it's Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is a more well-known artist. He has Michael Jackson had the Western media, the Western music machine behind him. Of course, he's the most popular artist in the world, no question. That when he talking about popularity, even when he talking about influence, who's been more influential in the world of music? Of course, Michael Jackson. This ain't really even a question. The young people, what did Michael Jackson in terms of influence? The world is more in Michael Jackson's influenced the world in terms of popular music and what the Western people, even all over the world, chase after, as opposed to Bob Marley. Bob Marley coming from Jamaica. He didn't have the kind of access that Michael Jackson had. He didn't. He just didn't. And you can't. They sing in different. It's different genres of music. Michael Jackson is the king of pop, R&B, and rock and roll. Bob Marley's the king of reggae music. They sing it. It's a different genre of music and all. It's an unfair comparison. As far as being influential, in an African way. Now that's a different conversation, because I've heard many revolutionaries in different parts of Africa say that they used to listen to Bob Marley's music, Bob Marley and the Wailers music. Peter Tosh, we played reggae music is influential in a different kind of way in Africa. When they're talking about the politics of a situation, when they're talking about black consciousness, that would be a different kind of conversation. But if you're just talking about just mere popularity in itself, taking all of those African politics and different kinds of things away, of course it's Michael Jackson. No question. And you have to give the man that. Not only that, I think that Michael Jackson was a better even businessman than Bob Marley. Business person, because Bob Marley was a very astute business-minded person. But I think that Michael Jackson have him hands down there. Why? Michael Jackson get the Beatles catalog. A group of people who sold more albums than him. He just was a good business mind in terms of music, because he learned from Joe Jackson. Also, as far as popularity, it's just hands down Michael Jackson. It's no comparison. They're just in different genres. I think it's an unfair comparison, but I'll leave it there.
So, Buana, and I'll go back and ask Kofi this. Just for you don't have to share the whys. Who's more important to you in your music collection? Who's more important, Michael Jackson or Bob Marley?
I've been listening to Michael Jackson at one point in my life. Okay, back in the day, when he was up there, not heavily, because my mother didn't like the whole androgynous kind of thing. Him and Prince and him, she didn't care for that. So, and then Bob Marley on the other hand, my old lady was kind of a big anti-Rasta business. She didn't want that close around her. But as far as influential, I've been listening to Bob Marley since I was a late teenager, and I still listen to Bob Marley to this day. So that could tell you the impact of Bob Marley music is to me, it's timeless. It's timeless music. Michael Jackson, some of his music it resonates, not as much as Bob. I could listen to whole albums of Bob Marley. Michael Jackson, maybe one or two songs that I like the beat or whatever. But we talking about different kinds of things. So I would say Bob Marley is more influential for me, But I'll leave it Coco.
But we are talking about two different genres, though. Like, I don't like when, like me, I hate when people. To me, I feel it's unfair. What do you like better, reggae or hip hop? or hip hop and R&B or soul. Like, why do I have to choose? I don't think one of them. They're animals, but they're just totally different animals. You know what I'm saying? Just because you, a cat and a dog has four legs, but a cat and a dog are totally opposite from each other. You know what I'm saying? One's a feline and one's a canine. So when with me, I love them both. I have memories of playing Michael Jackson off the wall, as well as on Bob Marley playing Redemption Song and Who the Cap Fit. I'm not picking. I love them both.
All right, quick question to Kofi. Who do you like better, Dolly Parton or Bob Marley?
Dolly Parton. See, no, no. Bob Marley. Nah, yeah, I love Dolly Parton while I was waking up. I didn't give a damn about how she sounded. I was like, God damn. I wasn't paying attention to what she was saying. But nah, it'll be definitely Bob Marley. I'm not a big country music fan. Like, that is one or two people that I may like, but nothing to me. What makes an artist a very, very well artist, and it goes for a lot of people, you can listen to their album from front to back. Michael Jackson are one of those people. Bob Marley is one of those people. You can even say Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? She's one of those people. You just put it on and just let it rock. To me, that's making him a good artist. And Michael Jackson, hands down, is, they don't call him the king of pop for nothing, but he is the king.
Okay, good stuff, Kofi. Unpopular opinion. Hot take moment. Dolly Parton's version of I Will Always Love You is probably as good or better than Whitney Houston's. Hot take. With that said, Real Black Drummer, what say you to it?
I mean, yeah, on paper, I guess I mean on Michael Jackson is bigger. How would I put it? I don't listen to Michael Jackson on repeat. I don't listen to Michael Jackson on repeat. I listen to Michael Jackson maybe once or twice a year, maybe. I can't tell you the last time I listened to Michael Jackson. I know I listened to Marley not that long ago. It's one of those things. Who's bigger? I mean, it depends on the sphere. And again, it's like comparing apples and oranges, because you know what I'm saying? I think Michael Jackson kind of, in a way, learned from Marley naturally because he grew up. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he heard some reggae growing up. You know what I'm saying? Just hear that. You know what I'm saying? I would love to find out if Michael Jackson actually had influence from Marley. That would be an even better question. I want Bob Marley to be bigger in times, although, I mean, not to say that Michael Jackson wasn't trying to have, it wasn't like, aware, wasn't trying to put out a message. It's just that Marley, he's coming from it. He's coming from Trenchtown. I mean, it's different though. It's different. I can feel. I mean, Motown. It's middle class blackness is not. It's not the same. It's not. It's just different because I mean the aspiration was different. It's like it was just different. I mean, Bob Marley is half white, right? His dad's Syrian, right? Michael Jackson shaped himself and peeled his skin. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that was the case or not. I don't know. It was just one of those things. But like, who's bigger? It's like I want Michael Jackson to be blacker, and I want Bob Marley to be bigger. If that kind of answers the question in a way, because like I wish Michael Jackson still had that fro and then wasn't going on that curl and was still doing the dance. You know what I'm saying? He could have still did the dance in natural hair. All that Jerry curl and his hair burning and stuff. You see what I'm getting at? It's just like we all want Bob Marley to be bigger. It's a natural mystic floating through the air. Come on, that's classic. That's timeless. It's timeless. Oh my goodness. I mean, in a lot of the like you say, he is bigger than Michael Jackson. Even though Michael Jackson, I don't think Marley Africa in the Americas, right? Michael Jackson went to everywhere in Japan and all that. I don't think Marley went to Japan. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what his tour was like. But I mean, that's my answer, I guess. I want Michael Jackson to be blacker, and I want Bob Marley to be a little. And the thing is, he's half. But at the same time, like Bob Marley was talking about, he did his job. You know what I'm saying? He didn't bother no one. To the best of my knowledge, you know what I'm saying? He was out there, you know what I'm saying, being extra just because of circumstance. It would have been known. He was like, man, he was a little uppity or something like that. You know what I'm saying? People talking, people would know by now. But right, Bob Marley didn't shit. He died too young. That's all I have to say. I mean, hell, Michael Jackson died too young, if we're going to be honest. That's all I got to say.
You know, I fuck with that response from RBG. You know, I really do. I really appreciate that kind of. It's a non-answer, but it's an answer at the same time. I kind of appreciate that. Let me read some stuff from the chat. Let me see what folks has been saying. Trigger Happy says there's evidence that the CIA assassinated Bob Marley. There's something to that too, by the way. Afternoon World says perhaps Bob Marley is bigger in black ghettos globally. Cheryl says Asian people make up huge chunks of global population, and all of them know Mike. They ain't rocking with Bob like that. She said Bob didn't dance. Even if Bob was alive, he ain't touching Mike. Let's be real. Cheryl with the shade says, did Bob write a song about his white wife while he was married to his black wife? What political allegiance did he have? I like that. I like that contrarianism sometimes, Cheryl. Cheryl's husband says Bob Marley was only big because white people liked his politics. Afternoon World says Michael Jackson didn't have any black women at all, it seems. Cheryl says, let's be clear, neither of them were political for black people. Afternoon World says, can't say that. When Bob Marley married a deeply melanated black woman, Rita Marley, I think he lost his way with the fame. Erzuliism is out. I haven't seen you in a minute, brother. Erzuliism says Michael Jackson is way bigger. He says Bob Marley is not even better than Peter Tosh. Now, that is a good comparison. That is an excellent comparison. We could talk about that another time. Forecast says shout out to Bob Marley, but no question in all areas, Michael Jackson. Man, good commentary from the chat. With that said, man, let me go to Black Steel. Black Steel, you heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to this?
Well, when I posted the comment, I thought it was a humorous thing, you know. How he talks about how patriotic the Jamaican people are. Like, only a Jamaican would pick Bob Marley over Michael Jackson, right? And like everybody was saying, they're two different genres of music, right? Bob Marley with reggae, you know, Michael Jackson being the king of pop. They were both masters in, I think, of their craft, right? Michael Jackson, every now and then he showed a little bit of, you know, consciousness when he made that song, They Don't Really Care About Us, other stuff like that. But, you know, Michael Jackson was the whole package, the singer, entertainer, everything. Excuse me. Bob Marley wasn't so much a dancer, but I really enjoyed his message, right? And this was just me as a young person coming into consciousness, moving beyond, you know, just the party songs, the legend. When I would hear things like Africa Unite, you know, things that talked about Black people uniting with one another. There's a song that Bob Marley has, you know, he talks about how sometimes you feel like bombing the church when you realize the preachers have been lying, you know. And it's sort of, you know, even though it was behind a nice little tune and he sang about love and everything else, every now and then Bob would hit you with some deep revolutionary stuff, right? So that's why I enjoy Bob Marley. Not to say everybody is better, you know, Michael Jackson's better or worse. I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. I'm a big Prince fan. I'm a big Bob Marley fan. You know, I'm a big Buju Banton fan. I gotta ask Buana what he heard because I mean, it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit because I'm a huge fan of Buju. But yeah, I just feel like it just kind of shows how Jamaicans have such pride in their in their country, in their culture, in their music, because only a Jamaican would put Bob Marley above Michael Jackson.
Only a friggin' Jamaican. No, so I have to admire the confidence, but they completely delusional. You know, it is what it is. You know, Michael Jackson is the most popular. He was the most popular black artist in the world. It is what it is. Give the man his kudos. It is what it is. As far as the argument between Peter Tosh and Bob Marley, what I would say to that is really is Peter Tosh was a better local artist. You know, in terms of maybe Jamaica, extended out of the Caribbean, Bob Marley was a more global artist. He was a bigger global artist. I would put it there.
I think the thing with Bob that puts Bob above Tosh in many people's eyes. Bob really had a good voice. He really had a good. I mean, take away the imagery and just listen to the voices. Bob had a real good voice. Where Peter was more of a raw, earthy kind of. And to be, kind of like what Barnes said, he was more of like a local singer. Whereas Bob had more of that international sound. But Barnes, what did Buju say? I know Buju been acting kind of zesty, which I didn't like. But what did Buju say?
Well, the first thing is, I don't want my man, but the first thing is, Buju Banton was, in terms of cultural references. You remember he wrote the song "Bombay Bye," and the Jamaican community was behind him and that. But what happened is he received a lot of pushback, a lot of blowback from the LGBT community. So after he come out of prison, all of a sudden he have this revelation now. You know, he went on an apology tour. Now, needless to say, how people feel that politics is with these kinds of things. You have people evolve, you have people grow. But I'm thinking you have to stand on certain things. You know, so if your culture is not inclined to embracing certain behaviors, you got to start on that. You know, I'm like, why it take you going to prison to backtrack on it? Not only that, his politics, he became involved in the politics of Jamaica, and it looked very suspect. Let me put it like that. In particular, the political party he was backing, he was on the stages representing certain people. Now, Rastafarians, for right or wrong, they kind of anti-politics. They don't really want to get into the fray of things. But this is the reason why Bob Marley was trying to remain neutral with the politics of Jamaica. And he say it's bigger than just the politics of Jamaica. For Buju Banton to involve himself in that, people look at that a certain way. They look at that a certain way. But I just personally think that, for my politics, I think that where this revelation come from all of a sudden, I don't know. But for me, it was just, I had to look at him side eye. It kind of was a little disappointing for me. And plus, I've heard people reference Buju Banton and saying he is, on a personal level, he is not the best kind of, he don't have the best kind of character. So that's maybe just hearsay. So I'll just leave it. I don't want to lambaste the man and defame the man. I'll leave it.
I mean, kind of heard. It's kind of, I learned like about a couple months ago, it was a documentary. Because the reason why Buju Banton became famous was for the whole song "Boom Bye Bye," right? At the same time, it was really a documentary about Shabba, how Shabba, fell from fame or whatever. But I don't know about that. Shabba Ranks still doing it. I went to the concert out here in Brooklyn where it was all the old school reggae. You had Shabba Ranks, you had Barrington Levy, you had Barris, you had all the big guys. When Shabba come out, yo, it was crazy. But anyway, I'm saying that to say, when I saw the documentary, because remember Shabba Ranks, saying, it was some place where he went on some British TV or whatever, and they were talking about homosexuality, and how Jamaicans stay, fire upon that. pretty much what he was saying. So, like, oh, that's so horrible, and blah, 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 blah. And he wouldn't apologize. But at the same time, the documentary was highlighting at the same time when that happened, Buju Banton came out with the song. And Buju Banton doubled down on the song. He never apologized for the song because he was never as big as Shaba around that time. So I think Shaba was with because I have the album. Shaba was with Epic Records. So Epic Records is like, yo, you got a guy that hates gay people. And then that's how, and after that, I think what was his I forgot the last good album that he did. I don't know if it was Raw as Ever. I forgot. But anyway, I'm just saying that to say it's kind of funny how Buju Banton was the person who was the trailblazer. And I'm not promoting, anti-LGBT or anything like that. Neither is the Bit of Medicine podcast, right? I'm just saying that Buju Banton didn't care. Like, this is our culture. We don't tolerate that thing and stuff like that, and how he's coming full circle. So I just find that to be very odd. Just look on YouTube. It was a very interesting documentary.
I'll tell you something funny. For the brothers who may not know. As all them slack songs Shabba Ranks did in the early '90s and stuff like that. Do you know Shabba Ranks is a very conservative man. He had a one wife for most of his career and life. He have all his children are inside his family. He lived a very conservative lifestyle. People don't know that. Like I said, you have to separate the artists from their music, because some of them are completely different. And people don't know how to separate these things. They think because a person sings a song, they must be like that. That's why Nicki Minaj, people like scratching their head. They're like, wasn't you the woman and like having the same like little Kim photos with your leg tear open for the whole world? Now all of a sudden you are ultra conservative with Trump. People are scratching their heads because there's a difference between the artists and their music. And people,
wait. So, Buana, you tell me Shabba Ranks never had a trailer load of girls?
I know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he had his one wife for his entire life. All his children are inside us. He lived a very conservative lifestyle. People don't know these things. They would think it's enough slackness going on, but it's not like that not in real life. But it is what it is.
Real good discussion. Our brother, I guess Black still want to say something. I'll come back to Black in a second. Our brother Talawa, I haven't seen you in a while. We see you counterpart all the time. He says Michael Jackson was not overrated. Bob Marley is. Goes on to say both their politics suck, but Michael Jackson's by far superior in his artistry. Shout out to D Web who's out there in the chat. A lot of Slaughter came in and mentioned Hills and Valleys. That album, Inner Heights by Buju Banton, one of the greatest albums ever written, I feel, to be honest, from a kind of a African spiritual conscious level. Man, good conversations out in the chat. You guys going back and forth. D-Web says, yeah, but Jamaicans move different. We have this very binary American view of race. Sean Paul, for example, has no African heritage, but they embrace him. That Sean Paul thing is an interesting conundrum too. Man, if there's no last thoughts, man, I'm gonna mosey on down to Shoot the Breeze, topic number 4. But that topic and some of the so-called verses some of you guys posted in the chat, I'm going to remember those because I have this segment concept I want to run by Black Steel when we have a chance that kind of deals with that same type of thing. You guys will see. Should be topic number 4.